Welcome to Operation Intel Veteran Stories. This is a place where combat veterans can sit down and share their stories, why they joined, what they experienced during deployments, and how it changed their lives, and what they've been up to since deployment. The reason why I started this channel was because we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide. This channel is a reminder for every one of us that we're not alone, and to make sure the stories of our brothers and sisters are told and honored. Because at the end of the day, these are real stories with real heroes. Today, I'm pretty excited because I get to sit down with one of my good friends, somebody I deployed with, somebody I respect the hell out of. Nick Crouch, how you been, bud?
Been good, man. Been good. Hanging in there. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just living the parent life. Before we got going here, I was telling him that I have four kids and he's got two. Right,
Yep, yep.
one's getting ready to. Did you say graduate?
I got one junior year of college and then one senior year of high school. So working on the empty nest over here.
Man, I'm a long ways away from that. That's for sure. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. I know a good bit about you because we spent some time together in the military and stuff. But for everybody that's tuning in, where'd you grow up? What was life like before the military for you?
Man, I grew up in South Louisiana. If you can't tell by the accent, I'm from Morgan City, Louisiana. And man, my childhood was full of sports. A lot of sports: football, baseball, basketball. Pretty much lived outdoors, man. You couldn't catch us inside when we were kids. Uh, Parents divorced. I was about 9 years old, I guess. So, had obviously a life changing experience there, and had a brother and a sister. I grew up with older brother, younger sister, and it kind of got to us a little bit. You know, kids don't really understand those things. So, a little bit of trauma there, and by high school I was, pretty much done with going to school and doing that normal everyday life thing. So I actually went to a military school youth challenge program ran by the National Guard in Louisiana. Got my GED there, took my ASVAB there, and graduated that program 16, like a month and a half before I turned 17. And the day I turned 17, I told my parents, I want to go to the recruiter's office and sign up for the military. Wasn't real sure what branch I wanted to go to. Didn't have much background knowledge on the military. I just knew I wanted to use my brain, and I wanted to be in a physical job. I wanted to be a soldier. I didn't want to be a desk clerk or whatever. So we went to the local mall, and they had all the recruiters lined up. And the first recruiter office I walked into was the Marines. And this was obviously post 9/11. And at that time, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Marines were not allowing you to select your position. Basically, you turned the ASVAB score in, and they gave you a job, and that was it. So they told me, yeah, I think it was going to be like comms that I would be in. And at that 17 years old, I was kind of like, I don't know about that, man. Sounds pretty different. Knowing what I know about the Marines now, and knowing what I know about post military career jobs, it probably would have been a smarter move to go to Marines and get an education in something that applied outside of military. But young and dumb, I walked over to the Army office, and that recruiter, I mean, he sold me like a used car salesman, man. He showed me this great video of this guy doing this and that and other, and he's like, this is where you want to be. And it comes with a huge bonus.
Yeah.
But one thing I've learned about the military now is the bigger the bonus, the shittier the job. So,
Yeah, man. It's funny because I think our story is sort of the same when it comes to walking into a recruitment office. My buddy and I walked into the Air Force recruitment office because he didn't want to be in combat, and it just so happened that the Army office was right next to it, and man, the rest is history. It's funny how that works out and how they promise you this and that and a bonus, and that bonus is going like that, man, and you're stuck in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so yeah. So what was basic training like for you? I know you did it in Fort Leonard Wood like I did. What was that like for you?
Oh man, basic training was for me a little less of a shock than everybody else because I'd been through that military program. They were pretty strict there. I was pretty physical at that time. I was used to doing push-ups and sit-ups and duck walking and crawling in the sand. So for me, I almost felt like an oddball out because I had a little bit of that shock value wasn't there for me. It was just like, oh, here we go. I got to go through this one more time. So really, yeah, I was just buying my time in basic training as far as that whole shock value goes. And as you know, being a combat engineer, there's not a whole lot of education going on in there.
No.
So not a whole lot of education. Here's a demo knot. Here's a gun. Can you shoot it straight? All right, Iraq, you go.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. Again, our stories are almost exactly alike, man. I thought Fort Leonard Wood. See, I grew up with sports, but I just I didn't have that like the military background. I didn't even want to be in the military growing up, man. But so it was all a shock to me. But it's interesting for me to hear like different people's perspectives on like how they dealt with basic training because I've heard guys say that it was a breeze, and I've heard guys say it was the worst moment of their life, and they would rather be in Iraq than be in basic training again, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's all
So
about perspective, man. It's all about perspective.
yeah, it is. It is. And then after basic training, you went to Fort Riley, correct?
Yep, straight to Fort Riley. So my version of seeing the world was Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and then a bus to Fort Riley, Kansas.
Yeah, what did you think when your drill sergeants told you that you were going to Fort Riley, Kansas? What was your initial thought?
My initial thought was, out of all the places in the world, Missouri and Kansas, man, I got sold a bad batch.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I didn't know where in the world it was, to be honest with you. I was like, where is Fort Riley at?
Yeah, I didn't know
Um,
where Kansas was, man. I thought that was just a make believe place on that show with the witch, you know?
oh my God, man. Yeah, coming from Louisiana and an ocean guy, because I know you like being out on the ocean and stuff. I'm sure Kansas was.
Yeah,
What
I
was
don't
that?
even know where
Puts
they
and
get their
moose.
water from there, man. I don't think I've seen a I don't think I've seen a river the whole time I was there. They got to import it from somewhere.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. For
So
coming
what?
from coming from
Go
the
ahead.
coast, yeah, coming from the coast and coming from South Louisiana, man, going to the Midwest, like you want a culture shock. There's a culture shock for you.
You go from hurricanes to tornadoes, right?
Yeah, yeah, and freezing rain, lots of freezing rain.
Yeah. So I know that you were there. How long were you there before we went to NTC?
Oh man, so it wasn't very long at all, right? I turned 18, I believe, like the day before we went. It was like I just hit the mark to be able to go. I remember Wade Pontecarvo had to stay back. He was only 17 still, right? But it
Yeah,
wasn't long, man. Maybe a couple months. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was
I
quick.
think we went in July. I know it was hot though. Gosh, I thought it was hotter there than it was in Iraq. To be honest with
The
you,
hottest place I've ever been in my life.
yeah, it was awful. And then the sandstorm, and then I think it rained there at one point, didn't it? And then we got some.
It
I think I
did.
remember it raining.
It rained. We were actually out on like a patrol, a training patrol in the 113s, and it was nighttime. We were like sleeping in the 113s, all of us, because it was a mess. Like literally, we're just piled in there like sardines because it was pouring
Yeah.
down rain. You know, in the desert when it rains, nothing soaks in. It's just like the whole place turns to a river.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that. I thought that I had remembered it raining there, but I wasn't real sure. Um, After NTC, man, I know we took about a month off and then we deployed. Uh, Tell me what that initial thought was like. And the reason why I'm asking you this kind of stuff is because I know there's going to be people watching this, and they're going to, maybe even the younger generation. they may have to get deployed. So what was that initial thought process like when you found out that we were deploying?
Man, for me, my perspective on it was just a lack of knowledge. I was a kid, man. I just turned 18, going to NTC, and then coming out of there deploying. It was just like, for me, excitement, like something new. The fact that I was going to a war zone really never set in for me. You know, like I wasn't a military history guy like I am now. I, it was just I hadn't seen a video out of Iraq or Afghanistan. I really just was kind of going with the flow. I don't think I was doing a whole lot of thinking at that point in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, did what was your family's perspective on it? I mean, I'm pretty sure, all families are the exact same when it comes to having, a son, or a daughter for that matter, deploy. Well, I know your mom. She actually flew in from Louisiana to Germany when me and you were there. So that was a really good moment in my life. But what was their perspective like when they heard that you were deploying?
Man, openly to me, I never remember them like showing a bunch of worry. I know they were proud of me. Just the fact that I got out of Morgan City and got out away from the trouble and everything, they were proud of me. And I'm sure, behind closed doors, they probably worried a lot, but they kept a strong vibe going for me, a lot of support, and I mean, totes and totes full of oatmeal cream pies, whatever
Yeah.
other snacks we wanted, maybe a couple Listerine bottles, that were
Yeah, there you go.
refueled before they were shipped, So,
Yep.
I mean, they were super supportive of me, man, and obviously, like I wasn't real open about what we were doing there. I don't think
Yeah.
that the amount of contact that we had there, calling back home and telling people who aren't in a war zone and haven't been trained and they're not in that mindset, I don't see any real value in that uh,
No.
at that time. So I kind of kept a lot of that under wraps up until the point to where I started like really having medical issues from the trauma to my brain. But yeah, so I would just say supportive. Anything I wanted, snacks, whatever, always sending snacks, enough for everybody, Anything I needed them to take care of, like the internet thing. We set up our own internet there. We got satellite from an undisclosed location. My mom was like moving that money for us and making sure that was paid for so that we had good sustainable internet there. So yeah, just supportive, man. Super proud. So
Yeah, yeah, and I know you come from one hell of a family, man. Your mom treated me like family when we were in Germany, and I love her to death, and I got the chance to meet your sister too, and they're just really good people. So that doesn't shock me whatsoever because you were in a different platoon than me, and she just treated me like she'd known me all of her life. So I have a lot of love for your family. You know, eh, Walk me through some of the stories that you remember being in Iraq. Maybe a couple of stories that stick out in your mind that kind of changed you as a person, made you. Because let's be honest, I think Iraq makes us all grow up quicker. You have to, right? You go in being a kid and you come out being a man. What were some of those moments like for you and stuff?
man, I guess now, like in hindsight, right? I've had quite a few years, as you can tell from the color of the beard, to reflect on these things. Uh, Phew. Some of the situations that really bounce back to me now that I'm at the point in my life that I am is just like so there was the night that we hit the tank mines headed to Taco Village. I believe that was with 82nd Airborne, and D'Angelo Griffin got hurt that night. I had to call in a non-line medevac for him. That was like my first real experience with a guy having to get put on a bird. And then another situation was with Lieutenant Rector, the first time we medevaced him, we got hit underneath the vehicle pretty hard. Another non-line situation that we had to put in there. So anytime you got to put your buddies on a bird, man, it's never gonna feel good, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then those two situations really changed me because before that, I didn't really have that like deep-rooted anger, and that really set it in. When those after those two situations, the enemy created a monster that they really didn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
My morals and my values kind of got put to the wayside, and it was time to get to business. So they changed me from a kid to a killer in those situations, and unfortunately that mindset stuck for about the last 18 years. I'm just getting to the point where I'm breaking out of that and the repercussions from going there. So
Yeah, and you know, I think that that's, and first of all, thanks for telling me that. A lot of these stories that Nick tells, I know because we were in the same unit together. So a lot of the stories he's telling, I have heard before. Lieutenant Rector being one of them. I remember that just because I remember what stuck out to me the most that day was him asking where his Pringles were. Right.
hmm.
Uh, Lieutenant Rector was one hell of a good guy. I haven't talked to him in forever, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
neither.
yeah, and he was an amazing leader. But thanks for sharing that with us. You know, again, I think when you go through stuff like that, because again, our situations are a lot alike. When I went into Iraq, I had a lot of anger already there towards the enemy just because I had lost a family member just a year before through that. So I think that shaped me right there as to who I was as a person. And I get the anger. And I think a lot of people go through the same thing which you're going through. And that's the whole reason why I started this was because, it, it's always nice to get it out. And sometimes you don't even have anybody to talk to a lot of the times. And people that you do talk to really don't understand what that feeling is like when you do have to put your buddy on a bird or somebody does get hurt because you're like family there. Um, so yeah, man. Tell me what it was like as far as I know. We ended up getting medevaced out together and stuff, and I thought that we were going to go straight back to the states, and we ended up in Germany after the deployment, right?
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah, we sure did.
That's when we really got to get to know each other and stuff like that, and that tattoo on your arm got drawn on there, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I guess it's a good time to bring that up. You know that the situation's changing your lives. I've got a tattoo on my arm in memory of Sergeant Wright, who was a part of Tim's platoon, man. And I don't even know how to describe that. Honestly, it's still in my head. Lots of questions about why it happened to him. It's been a big part of the turmoil I've dealt with in my life. Just thinking about that, man. If you ever got to hear a roll call for a soldier that's fallen, um, it's not something you get over easy. Uh, so yeah, I got a tattoo in remembrance of him actually, and I'm mistaken because I didn't get that tattoo in Germany. I got that tattoo in New Orleans. I got the koi in Germany. Just remember
Yeah,
that. So, but for some reason that sparked that memory in my head.
yeah,
You know, but yeah. So, man, I don't know. I guess I just trooped it out for too long, as you know, in Iraq. I had a lot of IED encounters. I wasn't supposed to be in the lead vehicle no more. So when we rolled out the gate, we'd stage vehicle number two, and as soon as we got on route, we'd move back to vehicle number one. And I think, if I remember right, we had 4 teams, 2 platoons is what we deployed to Warhorse with, and so we run 4 patrols, and I believe we had somewhere near 500 IED encounters in our time at Warhorse.
Yeah.
Um, and we had a really really good find ratio, and but we didn't find them all. Some of them found us, and TBI was really new. They called it shell shock back in, like World War I and World War II, but they didn't have the armor we had. So an ID would go off. You look around, no blood. All right, we're good to go. Keep rolling. On to the next mission. And then those explosions started to add up, and turns out I had traumatic brain injury that I wasn't really aware of until insomnia snuck in on me. Uh, some speech problems started to persist, and then the migraines. I was on patrol. I was a gunner. Instead of being in the hatch, I was laying down. Lieutenant would get me up if he needed me, and finally he just had enough. He's like, I can't watch you suffer like this no more. I know you want to finish this deployment, but it's time for you to go. And I think we evacuated out of Iraq maybe like a month or 5 weeks before our deployment was done.
Yeah.
It was like right on. We were actually in Germany thinking we wouldn't make it back in time to welcome our guys back. Uh,
Yeah.
that was a worry that we had. So yeah, man, we got sent out to Germany. We flew to Baghdad, I believe, and then we got on a medevac transport out of Baghdad. Excuse me. Uh, they put us on stretchers on a medevac plane, and wrapped us in blankets. I remember it was about 120 degrees on the tarmac when we left, and they wrapped us in these blankets. I'm like, man, what is wrong with these people? And
Uh,
then the next thing you know, man, they opened that back door of that plane when we got to Germany, and cool air rushed in for the first time in 15 months. I had not felt cool air. A year
yeah.
and 3 months, I had felt it, and the smell of the pine trees. The smell just
Yeah.
rushed in, man, and it was like, if this is what heaven's like, just bring me there now. Like, the
Yeah.
amount of relief I got just from feeling that was amazing. That's ingrained in my mind. Like, I'll never forget that feel and that smell.
Yeah. I think me and you had a conversation while we were on our way to the area which we were going. We had looked over. We were driving there, and we had looked over, and we were just like, Germany is gorgeous, and we were there, and I think we were there in October, and I remember the same exact feeling you had, where it was like I hadn't felt cold air in so long, and fresh air at that, because it was just so humid, and it just dry and humid all at the same time, because people were like, well, it's a dry heat, and I'm like, no, where we were at, it was actually humid
Yeah,
too. So that first initial like breath of fresh air was, I won't be able to even think about forgetting that for the rest of my life. I mean, it was something else. Before we get into Germany, I don't think a lot of people know what a combat engineer does. So why don't we explain exactly what your job was, when you say finding an IED? What was that like? Like, what exactly went into a mission, if we say mission?
so our day-to-day mission would be clearing main supply routes. So we would load up. We typically rolled about a 4 vehicle convoy. We'd have basically 3 gun trucks, support trucks, and then we would have Buffalo with us, which would, it had like the claw on it. It was on Transformers. People
There you
see the movie where the claw reaches out and flips a car. That's the actual vehicle we used in Iraq, and that was for digging exploratory on like beside the road. So what we did was, our job was to drive down these roads that we were tasked with clearing every day of the week, and we needed to remember these roads like the back of our hand. If there was a rock on the side of the road today, it needed to be there tomorrow. If there was a blast crater from a previous IED and it hadn't rained but the bottom of the hole was wet. You needed to be able to recognize that. If there was a glimmer of copper wire in the middle of the night, you needed to be able to spot it, man. We just literally drove down the road and looked for bombs that were placed to kill American troops and stop convoys from getting down the road. And we did that every day. We looked through binoculars at every blast hole, every clump of mud, whatever it was, spotting scopes. Eventually, we got the cameras off of helicopters with thermal night vision. We had radio jammers in our vehicles, so we jammed FM frequencies, we jammed cell phones. Uh, it was just we looked for bombs, and when we found them, we had guys in our unit who would demo these. We were only authorized to demo up to a certain size, so naturally, after waiting on QRF a few times, everything was under that certain size. So we would find them, we'd blow them, we'd go down the road, and we'd do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And, most people, when they think about clearing a road, or they're like, oh, he was just driving down the road, they don't understand that you're driving at 5 miles an hour for 10 to 12 hours a day. And a lot of the times, your AC is not working. So if it's 125 degrees outside, imagine what that heat is like inside that vehicle, and you have to keep there's no AC, there's no ventilation except for the gunner's hatch. Man, there was one time in particular that I remember sticking my pants up after a mission, and they stood up by themselves. That's how
Yeah.
much I was.
I rode my gunner's hatch because it had some AC vents like where your head would be if you were sitting down and at your waist level when you were standing up. And anytime I was standing up, I always dropped my trousers and let the air blow on me just to get some
It's
relief,
hot,
man.
man.
Yeah, and we had a guy, Bobby Dean, if I remember right. I believe he used to go commando with just his vest and his helmet and a buffalo.
I heard that. I heard that.
Yeah, yeah,
I got lucky throughout that deployment because I actually was in the Husky, the one man vehicle, and
yeah.
that was
A
by
meat
far the
locker.
best air conditioning there was, man.
Yeah,
It was great. I remember one of the hottest days out there, and being on comms with people that were in these hot boxes, man, and just telling them like it is so cold in this vehicle right now, and the amount of hate I got over the
yeah.
comms
It
was
was so cold.
ridiculous.
It was so cold, and that husky dudes used to fall asleep and just drive off the road into the day. You'd have to go chase them down. They would just be knocked out in there, bro. That
Oh my
happened
god, man!
quite a few times. Yeah,
I remember that, man. It was that husky was something else. Now, if you got hit in a husky,
yeah.
man,
You were going for a ride.
yeah, because those legs would fall off, is what they said. I think Ford got hit in the husky.
Yeah,
And Ford,
Ford got hit and he got flipped over uh, on the top. Like, oh, on the side, and the top flipped open because it was like a hatch like that opened on the top, and it
yeah,
was like it didn't like latch, because if it latched and you got hurt in there, nobody could get in there to get you. So it was just kind of like gravity held him down. So he got blown up like 500 pounds of HE underneath the vehicle. In the air he went, and down he came, and the top was open, and he was in there shook. And the next thing you know, like bullets just started splashing around the husky. So the poor guy's like holding the roof hatches closed on top of him till we could maneuver and cover him, man. Yeah, that was a scary day. Like we were moving quick to get to my boy that day.
yeah, I remember hearing about that. We were in different platoons, so I wasn't there for that one. Yeah, but those kind of stories and stuff you definitely hear, and you hear about them while they're happening too. So I I don't know what it's like when you're there, everything calms down and stuff, and you know what you have to do. I think the worst feeling is you're walking around where your living area is, and people from the talk are coming back and they're saying something's going on, and you not being able to help. I think
Yeah.
that happened to me a few times when I was over there, and it was probably one of the most hopeless feelings in the world. It was worse than actually being in the situation.
Yeah, if you're a mission guy and you're listening to firefighting to talk, it's never good. Like
No.
all you want to do is jump in your vehicle and go, man. Like the talk is the worst place to be in the world to me. Like every time an IED went off, we were on top of the HESCO barriers looking to see if it was our guys. If it was, I remember nights out there, bro, watching a loom come in and watching 50 cows just ring off, and
Yep.
like it was like the 4th of July. Like we were just cheering on, but like you just wish you could be there with the guys. Like you're worried, like I'm not there. If something happens, would there have been something I could have did to help, right? And like for us, we weren't like rotational guys, you know what I mean? Like we ran 6 missions a week one week, and that seventh day you did maintenance, and the next week you ran 7 missions a week, and the other team had an off day to do maintenance. Like so, it would be like y'all patrol our other patrol going out. Like we didn't rotate off of our particular patrol except for those 2 weeks that I came back to the States for my leave.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not like we were used to being bench warmers. If bullets were flying, we were used to being one of the guys sending them. So it was tough. It was tough watching firefights from the base for sure.
Yeah, and but you got to think you almost have to be out there every day. I mean, especially with doing something like route clearance, just because it changes so quickly. I remember, but when we first got there, the biggest thing that we were worried about is 155 rounds, and then the EFPs came, and they were nasty, and it changed what seemed like overnight.
Yeah,
And I think that you almost have to be out there every single day, and not getting complacent, and you have to keep your head on a swivel. And I think that goes back into why people you serve with are so close to each other. Just because you're out there every day with a truck full of, you guys may have had 3 people in the vehicle you were in, so you get to know these people every single day. So that closeness and brotherhood really is it's true. It's a thing.
yeah, yeah, man. I rode. I had 2 drivers in my time there. I had Anderson and Culpepper, and then I had Lieutenant Rector. He was my TC, and we ran lead vehicle. And basically, what he told us was like, "Hey, Nick, I want you to be my gunner, and hey, Culpepper, I want you to be my driver. But there's a stipulation here: we ride lead vehicle, and that's it. Nobody else leads this patrol. If there's an IED there, and a vehicle gets hit behind us, it's on us. It'll never be on anybody else." And a leader like that, man, you follow that guy anywhere he goes. So that's what we did. We ran lead vehicle, and I ran lead vehicle with Lieutenant Rector. And when he got medevaced, I ran it with Lieutenant Hanson. So my entire time there, I ran lead vehicle, and it was a pride thing. You weren't getting in my vehicle, you weren't getting on my gun. It just wasn't gonna happen.
I think we're having some technical difficulties there. Is it like lagging on your end?
Yeah, the video's frozen. Audio's good right now.
Okay, so it froze on my end and then it kind of unlocked. Um, is it good now,
You're still
or am I
frozen.
still?
You're still frozen on my end.
Well, what I'll do is I'll cut my part of it out and then just put you on there. But no, and when you were talking about Lieutenant Rector, he came over to us after he was with you guys, and I quickly understood why you guys liked him so much, because he wouldn't ask you to do anything he wouldn't do himself. And he was somebody that didn't have any quit whatsoever in him. I mean, even after a big blast like what he took, uh, he still was ready to go. So, really good guy. Um, Tell me a little bit about like the process of you getting medevaced out, as far as like what you were dealing with and how that affected you, and what was going on with you, where you were at, and things of that nature, man. I'm really interested to the end of this, because I know a lot of people don't know a lot of these stories. I know Nick's story, um, which is the same, almost the exact same story I have about our time in Germany and then Brooke Army Medical Center and then back to Fort Riley. But I do want to get into that a little bit. So tell me what that was like.
Yeah, so after multiple IED encounters, I think on our vehicle we had well over a dozen impacts on our vehicle directly. Not to mention when we were controlled detonating IEDs, we were doing it way too close because we didn't know any better. I mean, we would
Yeah.
set it. We're like, okay, the metal's not going to hit us here. We're good, right? We weren't worried about shockwave and things like that. So turns out that could really do a number on your brain. So I ended up having a traumatic brain injury. I had some small lacerations on my brain, started to affect my speech, my sleep, migraines, those sort of things. Everything you would expect come with a brain injury, as well as the onset of anxiety and depression. So as that came a little bit later, after the unwind. At this time I'm still running on adrenaline, but so my lieutenant, he allowed me to kind of lay in the back seat while we were on patrol until he needed me, if he needed me on the gun or whatever, when I wasn't feeling good. And then eventually, like, it just got to the point to where, like, I was debilitated. I wasn't sleeping at all for 3 4 5 days at a time, no sleep whatsoever. And so, he made the decision, like, hey, you need to go. Actually, my best friend in the military drove me to the hospital on the base. We were in Tikrit by that time. They removed us out of Warhorse due to the fact that we had, so many encounters and so many injuries. And so they did a CAT scan on me there. And long story short, they said, you got to go. You need to go get an MRI and get checked out by doctors. So I got sent to Germany over to Landstuhl. Me and you flew out there together. And man, to be honest with you, from that point on, I just kind of was not kind of, I was wild. Yeah, you spend that much time that close to death, and then like you can't take enough life in. Um, in Germany, I wasn't going to my hospital visits like I was supposed to. We were basically running around Germany just trying to live a lifetime in a month. Uh,
We were
and
there during Oktoberfest too, if you remember.
yeah, I don't remember much of my time there, but I do remember some of it. um, but eventually, the doctors cleared me to fly, but they didn't clear me to fly commercial. And I don't know, did we leave Germany at the same time?
Now I was there. I think I was there about a week longer.
Okay.
Um, I forget the circumstances behind it, but yeah, I know that I was there. I seen you leave, um, and then I stayed. I think I want to say I stayed an extra week or something like that, a
Yeah,
week
that's
or two. It
right.
wasn't
That's
much
right.
longer.
Because you went to France while I was already back stateside.
I sure did, buddy.
Yeah, I
I
remember
sure
that.
did.
So,
Yeah.
um, but anyway, so I was flown out of Germany on a military flight over to Maryland. And then from Maryland, I went to Brooke Army in San Antonio, which is where we met back up.
Yeah.
And then I went through some physical and speech rehab and stuff there. I can't remember how long we were in San Antonio. That part is really fuzzy for me. Um, but eventually got sent back to Fort Riley, Kansas to Warrior Transition Battalion. Uh, and then was there for some amount of time. I feel like it was a year or so. It's
I think
hard
it
to
was around
really
a year.
around a year, yeah. And then I just had enough of the rehabilitation, man. Like I was so frustrated. My mental state was so bad. I had just had a daughter. Life was just chaotic, man. And I was this kid in this world with this brain injury and these symptoms that I didn't know what to do with. And I was frustrated at the people trying to help me because it wasn't helping. And I finally just told my doctor, I'm like, man, like I'm ready to go. Like, if you guys, they already told me I couldn't stay in my MOS. Prior to getting hurt in Iraq, I had took my flight aptitude test. Me and Anderson did that together, and we're going to go fly helicopters. I was going to go be a chief warrant officer. They had already told me with my injury I couldn't continue that path, so it was just like over for me. Like, the military was done for me. I couldn't do what I was there to do anymore, and the options for moving were basically the exact opposite of what I wanted when I joined. So I took a med board, and I went on with my life as a civilian. Man, I took about a month and a half off when I got out to spend with my daughter because I was very limited in the amount of time I had spent with her. She was in Nebraska, I was in Kansas, and long story short, here I am. 37 now, so 17 years later, here I am, and just kind of getting to a point where I actually have some real recovery. It's kind of crazy to think that I spent that many years in depression and anxiety and dealing with suicidal thoughts. Luckily, luckily for me, I had some kind of fortitude. Been pretty successful in my career. Been really successful in my marriage with my wife. Now we've been married. I think we just made 10 years of marriage. My kids are healthy. I feel like I did a pretty good job raising them. I could have done better. A lot of the stuff that I suffered with got in the way of some of that, but I raised them in a pretty healthy way. I feel like that would be their story to tell someday. But I definitely could have did better. Um, but they're doing good, man. Great kids, doing good things. So really proud of them. And yeah, here I am today with a little bit of healing and trying to move forward with life and do good for other people.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, I'm proud of you for coming out of that because I know, your story is and a lot like other combat veterans where they get out and they don't know exactly what to do now, right? And then they're still dealing with what they don't even understand. Um, and I'm very proud of the man you've become because I've seen the guy that I was in Germany with, and then now look at you. You have a family of your own as well, and you're doing good. And you made it to the other side, which I'm always happy to see. Um, yeah. So, and I'm happy for you. Tell me about a little bit about what you're doing now, because you're doing sort of the same thing as far as trying to outreach to veterans that I'm trying to do through this channel. But explain to me exactly what you and your wife are doing.
So it's a long story. Happened over the last 10 to 15 years or whatever. But fortunate in Louisiana, there's a couple great programs that reach out to veterans, and they try to provide them with some relief and some healing through the outdoors, right? So I started as a veteran in these organizations. I've been on some great hunting trips, some great fishing trips, vacations with my family through this organization or these organizations. And part of that story is I've been medicated through the VA, and then as well as self-medicating with alcohol for all these years. And recently, I just made 100 days sober yesterday. Um, I had a little awakening, man. My wife, for Mother's Day, 2 days before Mother's Day, I asked her what she wanted for Mother's Day, and she said, "I want my family to go to church." And so we did. We went to church on Sunday, and then we got out of church, and no real awakening there, nothing much. Like, church is cool. I've always been a believer, like, but it was just like a normal thing. I didn't get much from it. Came home, did a little bit around the house, hopped on the jet ski, went drank beer and listened to music on the river. Normal Sunday. And I woke up the next morning. I get up at 3:15 to go to work in the mornings. And when I woke up that morning, uh, you know, I'm not real far into my walk with Christ, so I don't know if it was the Holy Spirit or God Himself or whatever, man. But there was a voice in my head, and it said, "Hey, you want to let go of all that hurt? You want to let go of the alcohol? Give it to me now. I got it. I'm gonna take care of you." And it was the craziest thing, like so unexpected. I had no plans of giving up alcohol, um, but I listened, man, and I gave it up. And it's the greatest thing I ever did in my life. 100 days sober, not dealing with any depression or anxiety outside of normal healthy things. Anxiety is one of those things that keeps us on track. You got to have a little anxiety if for deadlines and being on time for things, but nothing outside the unhealthy realm of anxiety. But that Monday, I quit drinking, and probably not wise, and I'm not advising anyone else to do this, but I also quit taking my medication. And I've been completely sober ever since from both. And I feel like God had his hand on me, man. I never went through withdrawals, no ill effects from quitting either one. I had temptation to drink beer for the first couple weeks, probably about 5 weeks or 6 weeks. It was it just blended out, and eventually I drank some NAs when I had those cravings, and like when I was in the boat and stuff, like those real heavy drinking moments that you're around. And now I'm off of those. I just drink, these sparkling waters. If you're gonna quit drinking, these things are not very impressive to the taste buds, but they play a really good game with your brain. So I'd recommend picking some of those up. Um, so yeah, man, I dedicated my life to Christ that following Sunday, and I went to one of the events for one of these organizations that I'm a part of, and I showed up, and no one there knew I dedicated my life to Christ. No one there knew I quit drinking. Um, And so when I got there, I told them, they're like, "Hey, you ready for a beer?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm on the wagon. I'm off the alcohol or whatever." And they were super supportive. Everybody there was super supportive and all. Um, but I just realized, like, there was a gap. Those organizations are doing great things, and that gap isn't there for everybody. But for me, there was a gap there, and so I did some praying on it and stuff, and I decided to start an organization with my wife called Mission Field Outfitters, and we kind of trying to offer the same thing, but with Christ at the center of it. My goal for my organization is to give veterans a place and an option uh, to heal. I looked up the VA mission statement today because I'm writing a little speech for another event that I'm going to at the end of September, and nowhere in that statement does it say to cure or to heal, right? And nowhere in that mission statement does it say to provide veterans with peace, right? And so all the VA is doing for us, from my experience, is they're just treating symptoms, suppressing them with antidepressants, pain pills, whatever it is that they're using to suppress those things. But there's no real healing there. And I looked it up. As far as peace goes, with mental illness that we deal with, coming back from those situations, the Bible mentions the word peace 429 times. Um, so weighing those two things against each other, in my opinion, the Bible has a lot to offer us. Christ has a lot to offer us as far as dealing with anxiety and depression, and rebuilding that peace in your mind and moving on from what you went through. So I want to offer veterans that perspective. I can't help veterans all the way through their walk with Christ. I'm at the beginning of mine, but I have taken the first step. Um, So if I can help guys take that first step and get them to the second step, then that is the goal and the mission of my organization.
That's amazing. And I didn't even know you were 100 days sober. Um, I think that's incredible. And first of all, congratulations to that, because that that says a lot. But I don't think a lot of people in the outside world understand that when you go to the VA and you have issues like what myself and Nick have went through with TBI, um, some other things too. You, I don't know what it's like down there in Louisiana, but I know that I would get a bottle about this big of nothing but Vicodin, and didn't cure the problem. Um, and then at night, you were supposed to take Ambien, which is another harsh narcotic, and it just kept on going. So, I think that that's a lot of the problem. One of the major problems, I think, is the medications and stuff. And it floors me that it didn't say anything about curing or anything like that in the VA mission statement. I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me one bit when it comes to that. Uh, but I am proud of you for 100 days sober, man, and that's saying a lot. So, what's your vision for your organization? What are you going to be doing? What are some of the things you're looking forward to? Maybe some trips that you're planning, or just tell me about what the future looks like.
So we started this organization maybe about a couple weeks ago. We started it. I spoke with my wife about it, and my wife said she was in. So currently, we did our first trip Saturday. This past Saturday, I took a veteran and his son out fishing. So I own a boat. I love to fish, and what better place to have a private conversation than on the water, enjoying your time fishing. So we're starting with that. I took $188 out of my bank account and I bought 6 custom hats, and I sold them, and I took the profit that I made from that and I bought more hats and I sold them, and I'm just continuing to build that up and raise money to help offset some of the costs there. Um, Really, it's a multifaceted attack is my vision, man. I want guys, if they're struggling or if they have a question or they want to take that first step, I want them to be able to reach out to me. Uh, First and foremost, I want to be available to every veteran and first responder who's dealing with that and wants to make a step towards Christ, and explore that option. So just having that outlet for people to contact me, um, and get that seed planted. Like I said, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a theologian. I can't quote the Bible to you, but what I can tell you is that Christ has the ability to heal, and all He requires of you is that you accept him as your Lord and Savior, and that you give your life to him. So that first step, getting guys and women who are serving our country, our communities, there to that first step, being a vessel for that. Um, as far as where I see this thing going in the future, what I see for it, man, I'm praying for God to show me the path He wants me to take, and I'm gonna follow that because I have no control over this. All I can do is be a good shepherd and a good steward of it. So this thing will be as big and as successful, or as small and successful as He wants it to be. But it's going to be successful. We're going to reach veterans. We're going to reach first responders, and we're going to open that door for them, and kind of show them the pathway of how to get to the right place to start that walk with Christ.
Yeah, yeah. To go back to your point there, I think it already is successful, just because, I mean, just the one person, even if you were to just take out one person, right? I mean, I think me and you both know that, just one person makes a difference. So, That's huge. If anybody wants to donate to your organization or anything like that, is there a place to do that at?
Yeah, so currently, I've actually got their shirt on. Gulf Coast Veterans. They're kind of stewarding my program for me. They're nonprofit paperwork. Everything is lined up with the IRS. They're fully functioning. They've been great to me. I trust them. I'm friends with the people who run that organization. So currently, they handle all my money through their nonprofit organization, and I'm basically an outlet underneath them. So they can visit Mission Field Outfitters on Facebook and get in contact with me there. I can send them the link, or they can go look up Gulf Coast Veterans, make a donation. I believe they accept them through Cash App, and you can leave a note whenever you make a donation. You just put Mission Field Outfitters at the bottom there, or donate to Gulf Coast Veterans. Man, they're doing great things. So we're kind of in this fight together, and I'm really leaning on them for mentorship on how to handle, like the nonprofit side and the event side. They're really good at that. So I'm actually it's their event that I'm speaking at the end of the month, and I'll also be running my boat as a captain there. So I'll be donating my time and fuel and stuff like that. So they've asked me to speak there. So which is a blessing, man. I get to reach out to like 50 veterans at one time. So yeah, I'm in partnership with them, and like I said, reaching out on Facebook is really the easiest way. Shoot me a message. I don't follow any companies or people out of that account, so it stays really clean. So if you shoot a message, I'm going to see it. That'd probably be the best way to get in touch with me. You can also email at missionfieldoutfitters.com. I check that email every day of the week on weekdays. So if you don't have Facebook or whatever, you need to reach out, and not just for donations, man. If you're interested in information, how do you get started, whatever, reach out. I want to be there for people in all aspects. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I actually have. I think I liked your it on Facebook and stuff. So what I'll do is underneath the video, what I'll do is I'll link it to the video on Facebook as well, just so if it reaches somebody that needs help, but also the people that are hand in hand with what your mission is and want to support that as well. I got one more question for you, and then I'll let you go, man. I know you got some things you got to take care of. If you could give one piece of advice to a brand new private coming into their unit that you wish somebody would have given you at the very end or at the very beginning of your career in the military, what would it be?
man, my piece of advice, I'm gonna go back and lean on God here. I would say spiritually prepare yourself before you have experiences, right? God gave us a book called the Bible, and what it is it's an instruction manual on how to protect yourself from evil, whether it be anger, anxiety, depression. It's all covered in there, man. I would say, have that armor of God on before you get into situations like what we went into. I really wish I'd had a spiritual background. I really wish I'd had Christ there to lean on. Not that He wasn't there for me, but in my life, I didn't know I could lean on Him. So I'd say, no matter what you go through in life, good, bad, or indifferent, just have that walk with Christ and that talk with Christ, man. When you need Him, He's there. He's always there. So that would be my advice.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, listen, it was great, man. I love catching up with people that I've served with. I'm sure you feel the exact same way. A lot of the times we don't get to talk to each other anymore, but um, I'm honored to have you as my first guest on this show. And I hope everything works out for your organization and stuff like that. I think you got a great vision, and I'm proud of you for being sober for 100 days. That's huge, and I'm happy about the marriage as well, man. That's good to hear. You don't often hear stories like this, so it was good talking to you, man. And thanks again for coming on.
Same, brother. I appreciate you having me.
All right.
All right.
Fire! Fire!